climate change isn't tougher.
Sanders, Americans love their SUVs, which spiked in sales last year as gas prices plummeted. How do you convince Americans that the problem of climate change is so urgent that they need to change their behavior?
I think we already are. The younger generation understands it instinctively. I was home in Burlington, Vermont on Christmas Eve. The temperature was 65 degrees. People in Vermont know what's going on. People who did ice fishing where their ice is no longer there on the lake understand what's going on. I'm about the environmental and energy convinced. The debate is over. Climate change is real. It is already causing major problems. And if we do not act boldly and decisively, a bad situation will become worse. It is amazing to me, and I think we'll have a grid on this up here, that we have a major party called the Republican Party that is so owned by the fossil fuel industry and their campaign contributions that they don't even have the courage, the decency to listen to the scientists. It is beyond my comprehension how we can elect the President of the United States, somebody like Trump, who believes that climate change is a hoax invented by the Chinese. Whatever it is, we need to be bold and decisive. We can create millions of jobs. We must, for the sake of our kids and grandchildren, transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. I've got the most comprehensive legislation in the Senate to do that, and as President, I will fight to make that happen.
Tonight, this Democratic stage, where we actually believe in science, I would like to challenge and invite my colleagues here on this stage to join me in putting forward a plan to move us to a 100% clean electric energy grid by 2050. It can be done with solar, with wind, with new technologies, with green buildings. This can happen, but President Obama made us more energy independent. But in all the above strategy didn't land us on the moon. We need American ingenuity, and we need to reach this goal by 2050 for the sake of our jobs.
Riders winding down for knowing about. Some people may be leaving us with some codes being put on right now. Yes, I shared this link in the chat room. Check my chat room in just a minute.
Hey everybody. Let's do another drive, shall we? This is a bowling party. The lanes at Coffee Creek, which is up in Owasso, right? Anybody from Owasso here? Do that somewhere. Gary Petworth. Gary, are you here? Yes. Come on down. Maybe you get a bumper sticker that says "Vote Bernie, real people, real power."
Alrighty.
Also, since I have your ear, Gary.
There is a tweet from
Marco
Rubio. Hillary Clinton just took a drink during the Dem debate.
Again, we have phone banks and neighborhood canvassing opportunities. Bernie says where this election is going to be won is on the front line, us volunteering our time and putting in the effort. So I highly recommend you guys go to the national website, check out all the events that Grassroots has going. You can also see all the events throughout the state. It's very encouraging. We have groups in Cleveland County. There's like 2,500 people on their Facebook page. Oh, and by the way, we have a Facebook page.
Let's take a look at
so come and find us on Facebook. It's a closed group. So we're about to hit 3,600 members.
3,600 members in the 12th.
All right, I'll let you guys get back to your TV.
Looks like it's coming back. So is exciting.
Make sure you tip the waitress. The bartender.
You want to call in and sound off? Go ahead on Skype, using your Skype. My name is Maxine Truth on Skype.
I feel some control on the gun issue. But on healthcare and on Wall Street reform, it was Hillary Clinton on the defensive and was a very aggressive Bernie Sanders. One thing I've known here, Bernie Sanders very much being the sort of revolutionary candidate, major change. And you've heard a lot of Hillary Clinton saying things like she wants to build on the things that President Obama did, wrapping herself in President Obama. Let's go back downstairs and check in with our moderators, Lester and Andrea. So what's coming up next, guys?
Talking about this is one of the top concerns. President's comments today.
Like very much in favor.
Well, it's the Commander-in-Chief test. That's what's next. Stay with us. The debate resumes right after this.
And then no choice but to take it. Was it water? Was it vodka? I'm betting it had a little bit of vodka in it. Let's see here. Turn the bets on as they went by. They're all different conversations. Bernie did mention the pharmaceutical industry. I think that's a good beginning to have safe vaccines and affordable prices for a real medicine that works. Let's see here. Remember the hashtag. Likely and Rand Paul is right. That is crippling America. It just sounds more like a Republican against a Democrat. The more she talks, the more she sings, in my opinion. I gotta get up early. I'm hearing up much.
Oh, you're at Channel 2? Oh, cool.
Thank you, Lester. The nuclear deal is now in force. Iran is gaining billions of dollars. Several Americans who have been held are now being beheaded.
It was a good thing that the first 25 minutes of this debate was about criminal justice. It's because of your voices. Your voices matters. Your voice matters. Anyone tries to tell you it doesn't. They are
I think
misinformed.
what we have got to do is move
Bernie is
as
back
aggressively as we can to normalize relations with Iran, understanding that Iran's behavior in so many ways is something that we disagree with. Their support for terrorism, the anti-American rhetoric that we're hearing from some of their leadership is something that is not acceptable. On the other hand, the fact that we managed to reach an agreement, something that I very strongly supported, that prevents Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, and that we did that without going to war, and that I believe we're seeing a fall in our relationships with Iran is a very positive step. So if your question is, do I want to see that relationship become more positive in the future? Yes. Can I tell you that we should open an embassy in Tehran tomorrow? No, I don't think we should. But I think the goal has got to be, as we have done with Cuba, to move in warm relations with a very powerful and important country in this world.
Yeah. Secretary Clinton. I'm very proud of the Iran nuclear agreement. I was very pleased to be part of what the president put into action when he took office. I was responsible for getting those sanctions imposed, which put the pressure on Iran that brought them to the negotiating table, which resulted in this agreement. And so they have been, so far, following their requirements under the agreement. But I think we still have to carefully watch them. We've had one good day over 36 years, and I think we need more good days before we move more rapidly toward any kind of normalization. And we have to be sure that they are truly going to implement the agreement, and then we have to go after them on a lot of their other bad behavior in the region, which is causing enormous problems in Syria, Yemen, Iraq, and elsewhere.
Well, you mentioned Syria. Let me ask you about Syria. Let's turn to Syria, the civil war that has been raging there. Are there any circumstances in which you could see deploying significant numbers of ground forces in Syria, not just special forces, special operators, but significant ground forces to combat ISIS in a direct combat role?
Absolutely not. I have a three-point plan that does not include American ground forces. It includes the United States leading an air coalition, which is what we are doing, supporting fighters on the ground, the Iraqi army, which is beginning to show more ability. The Sunni fighters that we are now helping to reconstitute, and Kurdish fighters on both sides of the border. I think we also have to try to disrupt their supply chain of foreign fighters and foreign money, and we do have to contest them in online space. So I'm very committed to both going after ISIS, but also supporting what Secretary Kerry is doing to try to move on a political, diplomatic course to try to begin to slow down and hopefully end the carnage in Syria, which is the root of so many of the problems that we see in the region and beyond.
Senator Sanders, yes or no?
As everybody here knows, this is an incredibly complicated and difficult issue, and I applaud. I know President Obama's going to get a lot of criticism on this. I think he is doing the right thing. What the nightmare is, which many of my Republican colleagues appear to want, is to not have learned the lesson of Iraq. To get American young men and women involved in perpetual warfare in the quagmire of Syria and the Middle East would be an unmitigated disaster that, as president, I will do everything in my power to avoid. And we should learn from King Abdullah of Jordan, one of the few heroes in a very unheroic place. And what Abdullah said is this is a war for the soul of Islam, and that Muslim troops should be on the ground with our support and the support of other major countries. That is how we destroy ISIS, not with American troops in perpetual warfare.
Governors have led us to victory in 2 world wars by doing what America does best. And that is by joining forces with others, by acting in coalition. And I believe that President Obama is doing the right thing in this case. We need to learn the lessons from the past. We do need to provide special ops advisors. We do need to provide the technical support. But over the long term, we need to develop new alliances. We need a much more proactive national security strategy that reduces these threats before they rise to a level where it feels like we need to pull for a division of Marines. I also want to add one other thing here. I appreciate the fact that in our debate, we don't use the term you hear Republicans throwing around, trying to look all bravado and macho, sending other kids into combat. They keep using the term boots on the ground. A woman in Burlington, Iowa said to me, Governor, when you're with your colleagues, please don't refer to my son, who has served 2 tours of duty in Iraq as a pair of boots on the ground. We need to be mindful of
Yeah, he did say that last time. It's still good.